The playground was nearly empty at 4:30 on a Wednesday afternoon. Most of the after-school crowd had already been picked up by parents with regular schedules, leaving behind just the stragglers, kids whose mothers and fathers worked late shifts, whose guardians juggled multiple jobs, whose families existed in that exhausting space between making rent and having anything left over. Maya Torres pushed her daughter on the swing set, her arms burning from the repetition. She'd been on her feet since 5 that morning, pulling a double at the diner on Foster Avenue, and her lower back throbbed with the kind of persistent ache that ibuprofen barely touched anymore. But Lily was laughing, her small hands gripping the chains, her dark curls flying behind her as she pumped her legs. "Higher, Mama!" Lily's voice carried across the empty playground, clear and bright. Maya smiled despite her exhaustion and gave another push. 7 years old, and Lily was already more resilient than Maya had ever been. She'd been born deaf, profound hearing loss in both ears, but she'd never let it slow her down. The cochlear implant surgery last year had given her some hearing, enough that she could speak with remarkable clarity when she wanted to, but sign language was still her first language, the one that felt most natural. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Maya glanced at her phone, checking the time. 5 more minutes. Then they'd need to catch the bus back to their apartment. She had exactly $93 in her checking account. Rent was due in 5 days, and she was short by $200. The electric bill sat unopened on the kitchen counter because she couldn't bear to see how much it was this month. "Mama, there's a boy," Lily signed, her hands moving as she slowed the swing. Maya followed her daughter's gaze. Near the wrist of completed edge of the playground, partially hidden by the elaborate climbing structure, stood a child. A boy, maybe 8 or 9, wearing expensive clothes that looked absurdly out of place in this neighborhood park, dark jeans that probably cost more than Maya's entire outfit, a navy blue shirt that was clearly tailored, shoes that weren't scuffed or worn. He stood completely still, watching the other children with an expression that made Maya's chest tighten. He looked lonely, desperately, achingly lonely. "Can I say hi?" Lily signed. Maya hesitated. The boy's clothes, his posture, the way he held himself, everything about him screamed money. And where there was that kind of money, there were usually parents who didn't want their children mixing with kids from neighborhoods like this one. But Lily was already off the swing, her sneakers hitting the rubber playground surface with a soft thump. Maya followed, keeping close. Lily approached the boy with the fearless curiosity that Maya both loved and worried about. She stopped a few feet away and waved. "Hi, I'm Lily. Do you want to play?" The boy's eyes widened. His mouth opened, then closed. His hands twitched at his sides, and Maya saw it immediately, the frustration, the desire to respond, coupled with the inability to make the words come out. "It's okay," Lily said, her voice gentle in the way it got when she sensed someone struggling. "You don't have to talk. Do you know sign language?" The boy's entire face transformed. Relief flooded his features as his hands moved. "Yes, my name is Marco." Lily's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Really? You sign?" "Nobody at my school signs except the teacher." Her hands flew as she spoke and signed simultaneously. "Do you want to play on the monkey bars? I can go all the way across without falling now." Marco nodded, and for the first time since Maya had noticed him, he smiled. The 2 children ran toward the monkey bars together, and Maya's chest felt too tight. She knew. That feeling, the overwhelming joy of finding someone who spoke your language, who understood without you having to explain. Lily had so few opportunities to sign with other kids her age. "He doesn't speak." The voice came from behind Maya, and she spun around, her heart jumping into her throat. The man standing there was tall, over 6 feet easily, with dark hair styled in a way that suggested he paid more attention to his appearance than most men Maya knew. He wore a black suit despite the warm afternoon, no tie, the top button of his white shirt undone. His face was striking in a hard-edged way, all sharp angles and strong lines, with eyes so dark they were almost black. There was something about him that made Maya's instincts scream danger, even though he hadn't done anything threatening. He was watching Marco with an intensity that made Maya's breath catch. "I'm sorry," Maya said quickly, taking a step back. Lily didn't mean to bother him. "We can go." Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel. "No." The word was firm but not harsh. The man's eyes shifted to her, and Maya felt pinned under his gaze. He hasn't smiled like that in over a year. "Your daughter," she signs. "Yes. She's deaf. Well, she has an implant now, but signing is still. Maya stopped herself, suddenly aware that she was babbling to a complete stranger who looked like he could buy and sell her apartment building without blinking. Sorry, yes, she signs. Marco hasn't spoken since his mother died. The man's voice was controlled, matter of fact, but Maya heard something underneath it. Pain, carefully locked away. 18 months. Doctors say there's nothing physically wrong with him. He just stopped. Maya's heart broke a little. She looked back at the playground where Lily and Marco were now sitting on the platform of the climbing structure, hands moving in. Animated conversation. Marco was laughing silently, his whole body shaking with it, and Lily was grinning like she'd made a new best friend. They're already telling secrets, Maya said softly. Lily does that. She finds the quiet ones. She talks while she signs. It wasn't a question, but Maya nodded anyway. She can hear with the implant, and she likes using her voice. But signing it's who she is. It's her first language. The man was quiet for a long moment, watching his son. When he spoke again, his voice was lower, almost reluctant. He needs someone who understands, someone who speaks his language. Maya turned to face him fully, suddenly understanding where this was going. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a waitress. I don't have any training or, you have something better. The man's eyes locked onto hers. You have a daughter who signs, who sees my son as a person instead of a problem to be fixed. That's what he needs. I don't even know your name, Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. Dante Moretti. He extended his hand, and Maya shook it automatically. His grip was firm, warm, and she pulled back as soon as politeness allowed. Maya Torres. She swallowed hard. Look, Mr. Moretti, I appreciate that you think I could help, but I have a job. I work doubles most days just to keep the lights on. I can't— How much do you make at the diner? Dante interrupted. Maya blinked, taken aback by the directness of the question. That's personal. Roughly. How much? I don't see how that's— Because I'll pay you triple to spend time with Marco, to teach him, to help him communicate. Dante's voice was steady. Certain. Whatever arrangements you need to make, I'll cover them. You have rent to pay, bills. I assume those won't be problems anymore. Maya's head was spinning. You don't know me. I could be anyone. Why would you trust me with your son? Because in the last 5 minutes, he's been happier than I've seen him since his mother's funeral. Dante's jaw tightened. Because every therapist, every specialist, every expert I've brought in has failed to reach him. And your daughter walked up to him and made him smile in under 30 seconds. Maya looked back at the playground. Marco and Lily had moved to the swings now, side by side, pumping their legs in synchronization, still signing to each other even in motion. I don't know anything about you, Maya said quietly. I don't know if this is a good idea. It's not. Dante's voice held a note of dark humor. It's probably the worst idea I've had in a long time. But I'm out of options, and my son deserves better than the silence he's been living in. There was something in his voice, a desperation carefully masked by authority, that made Maya pause. She'd heard that tone before in her own voice, late at night when she looked at unpaid bills and wondered how she was going to make everything work. The sound of a parent who would do anything for their child, twice a week, Maya heard herself say. After school, for an hour. I'll bring Lily. They can play, practice signing, just be kids together. But I'm not a miracle worker, Mr. Moretti. I can't promise anything. Dante, his expression softened slightly. And I'm not asking for miracles. I'm asking for someone who sees my son as a child, not a case study. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, but I have conditions. Name them. First, this happens in public places. Parks, libraries, safe spaces. I don't know you, and I'm not bringing my daughter into a stranger's home. Agreed, for now. Second, if either of the kids seems uncomfortable or unhappy at any point, we stop. No questions asked. Agreed. And third, Maya met his eyes directly. You tell me the truth. Why does a man who can clearly afford the best specialists in the country need a waitress from the South Side to help his son? Dante was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried weight. Because the specialists see a problem. You see a person. That's the difference. Before Maya could respond, Lily and Marco came running over, hands flying in excited conversation. Mama, Can Marco come play again? Lily signed, her eyes bright with hope. Please? He knows all the same signs I do. And he taught me a new one for friend that I didn't know. Marco was looking up at his father with an expression that made Maya's chest ache, hope mixed with fear, as if he was afraid to want something too much in case it was taken away. Dante looked at his son, and something in his expression cracked open. Would you like that, Marco? To see Lily again? Marco nodded so hard his dark hair fell into his eyes. His hands moved rapidly. She's nice. She doesn't treat me like I'm broken. You're not broken. Dante signed back, and Maya was surprised by the fluidity of his movements. He'd been learning. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. Marco's eyes filled with tears, and he threw himself against his father's legs, burying his face in Dante's suit. Dante's hand came down gently on his son's head, and Maya had to look away from the raw emotion on his face. Friday afternoon, Maya said quietly. 4:30, here at the playground. Dante nodded, his hand still resting on Marco's hair. Friday. As Maya and Lily walked toward the bus stop, Lily couldn't stop signing about her new friend, how he liked the same cartoons she did, how he was teaching her about dinosaurs, how he understood what it was like when words felt hard. Maya glanced back once and saw Dante crouched down at Marco's level, their hands moving in conversation. The boy's face was animated in a way it hadn't been when she'd first noticed him, and something in her chest loosened slightly. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Maybe it would just be two kids becoming friends. Two lonely children finding someone who understood them. She didn't see the black SUV parked across the street, or the man inside it taking photographs. She didn't notice the way Dante's posture shifted slightly, his body angling to shield Marco from a threat only he could perceive. She didn't understand yet that in Dante Moretti's world, everyone was watched. Every connection was a potential vulnerability, and every person who got close became a target. She would learn. Friday came too quickly and not quickly enough. Maya had spent the 2 days between convincing herself this was a terrible idea and then talking herself back into it. She'd Googled Dante Moretti and found exactly nothing useful. A few mentions in business articles about real estate development and restaurant investments. Some charity gala photos where he appeared in the background looking uncomfortable in a tuxedo, but nothing that explained the aura of danger that clung to him like expensive cologne. You're nervous, Lily signed as they approached the playground. A little, Maya admitted. Why? Marco's nice. His dad is nice. Maya wasn't sure. Nice was the right word for Dante Moretti, but she didn't know how to explain to her 7-year-old that some people carried darkness around them like a second skin. That some men had eyes that had seen things Maya didn't want to imagine. That wealth and power like Dante's didn't usually come from entirely legal sources. But then she saw Marco waiting by the swings, and his face lit up when he spotted Lily, and Maya's reservations melted slightly. Whatever Dante Moretti was or wasn't, his son was just a child who needed a friend. Dante was there too, standing a respectful distance away, dressed more casually today in dark jeans and a black Henley that somehow still managed to look expensive. 3 other men stood at various points around the playground, trying and failing to look inconspicuous, and Maya's stomach tightened. Security, Dante said when he noticed her staring. They'll keep their distance. Why does a real estate developer need security at a playground? Maya asked quietly, keeping her voice low so the children wouldn't hear. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Because the world isn't always safe, and I have enemies. What kind of enemies? The kind that notice when someone becomes important to me. His gaze shifted to Marco, who was already deep in signed conversation with Lily. The kind that would use that against me if they could. Maya's blood ran cold. Are we in danger? Is Lily? No. Dante's voice was firm. The security is to make sure of that. As long as you're with Marco, you're under my protection, both of you. I didn't agree to protection. I agreed to let the kids play together. The two things aren't separable. Dante turned to face her fully. I should have been clearer before. In my world, association comes with consequences. People who matter to me become targets. It's not a threat, it's just reality. Maya should have walked away right then. Should have taken Lily's hand and gotten on the bus and never looked back. But she looked at Marco's face, at the way he was laughing silently while Lily taught him some elaborate hand-clapping game, and she couldn't do it. Fine, she said tightly. But your security keeps their distance. I don't want Lily scared. They're professionals. She won't even know they're there. For the next hour, Maya sat on a bench while Lily and Marco played. They moved from the swings to the slide to the climbing structure, their hands never still, constantly signing to each other. Marco's face was more animated than Maya had seen before, his eyes bright with the kind of happiness that couldn't be faked. Dante sat beside her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and woody that probably cost more than her rent, but far enough that they weren't quite touching. "He's different with her," Dante said quietly. "I've never seen him like this. Lily has that effect on people. She doesn't know how to be anything but completely herself. Must be genetic." Maya glanced at him, surprised. "You don't know anything about me. I know you agreed to help a stranger's child, even though you're clearly uncomfortable with me. I know you work 2 jobs to support your daughter alone. I know you taught yourself sign language well enough that Marco feels understood." Dante's dark eyes met hers. "I know you're braver than you think you are." Maya's cheeks heated. "I'm not brave. I'm just doing what any mother would do. You're doing what most mothers wouldn't." Dante's voice was matter of fact. "Most people would have walked away. Too risky, too complicated, too strange. But you saw a child who needed help and you said yes. Is that what this is to you? Your son is just a problem that needs solving?" "No." The word came out sharper than Maya expected. "Marco is everything. He's the only thing that matters. And watching him suffer, watching him disappear into silence while I can't reach him." Dante stopped, his jaw tightening. "It's destroying us both." Maya's anger softened. "He's not disappearing. He's just communicating differently. The therapists say he's stuck, that the silence is a coping mechanism that's become a trap. The therapists are wrong." Maya watched Lily and Marco, who were now sitting cross-legged in the grass, hands moving in rapid conversation. "He's not stuck. He's just waiting for someone who speaks his language." Dante followed her gaze. "Lily. And you?" Maya turned to face him. "You sign with him. I saw you the other day. You're learning. Not fast enough. Not well enough. Then I'll help you too." The words were out before Maya could stop them. "If you want, I can teach you not just the signs, but the flow of it, the way it feels. So you can really talk to him, not just translate." Dante's expression shifted, something vulnerable breaking through the careful control. "Why would you do that?" "Because he's your son, and he needs you to understand him." Maya shrugged, trying to make it casual even though her heart was hammering. "Besides, you're paying me. Might as well get your money's worth. I haven't paid you yet." "About that." Maya pulled out her phone, pulling up her bank app. "I don't even know how much we agreed on, and I need to give you my information for—" Dante pulled out his wallet and extracted a stack of bills that made Maya's eyes widen. "For the first 2 weeks. We'll work out the details later." Maya stared at the money. There had to be at least $2,000 there. "That's too much. Way too much." "It's not enough." Dante pressed the bills into her hand. "Take it. Pay your rent. Buy groceries. Get whatever Lily needs. And stop working doubles at the diner. You look exhausted." "I can't just quit my job. I'm not asking you to quit. I'm asking you to trust me." Dante's voice was gentle but firm. "Let me help you while you help Marco. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that." Maya looked down at the money in her hands, at the bills that would solve 3 months of problems in one go. She should refuse. She should maintain boundaries. But Lily needed new shoes, and the dentist had called about that appointment they'd had to cancel, and the electric bill was still sitting unopened on the counter. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you." Dante nodded once, then stood. "Marco, 5 more minutes." Marco looked up, his face falling slightly, but he nodded. He and Lily made the most of their remaining time, racing across the playground one last time before reluctantly saying goodbye. "Same time next week?" Lily signed to Marco. "Promise?" Marco signed back. "Promise." They hugged quickly, the way children do, and then Dante was leading Marco toward a black car that had appeared at the curb. Maya noticed the way Dante's hand rested protectively on his son's shoulder, the way his eyes scanned the street before they crossed, the way he positioned himself between Marco and the open spaces where threats could come from. "Mama, I really like Marco," Lily signed as they walked to the bus stop. "I can tell, sweetheart. Can we see him again soon? Not just once a week?" Maya thought about the money in her purse, about Dante's offer, about the way Marco's eyes had lit up when Lily had taught him a new sign. "Maybe. We'll see." But as they boarded the bus and found seats, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just stepped onto a path that led somewhere dangerous. Dante Moretti wasn't just a grieving father trying to help his son. He was something else. Something her instincts recognized even if her mind couldn't name it yet. And she'd just agreed to let him into her life. The text came that night, after Lily was asleep. Unknown number. Thank you for today. Marco hasn't stopped signing since we got home. He says Lily is the best friend he's ever had. Maya stared at the message for a long moment before responding. Maya? She feels the same way. He's good for her. It's rare for her to meet other kids who sign. Unknown number. Same for Marco. The therapists try. But it's not the same as a real connection. Maya, how did you get my number? Unknown. Number. I have resources. I hope you don't mind. I thought it would be easier to coordinate schedules this way. Maya should mind, should be angry about the invasion of privacy. But somehow, with Dante, normal rules didn't seem to apply. Maya, it's fine. Just ask next time. Unknown number. Noted. Sleep well, Maya. She saved the number under Dante, Marco's dad, and set the phone on her nightstand. But sleep didn't come easily. She kept thinking about the way he'd looked at his son, about the security guards stationed around a children's playground, about the money that had appeared so easily, as if $2,000 was nothing. Who was Dante Moretti really? And what had she just gotten herself and Lily into? The next 2 weeks fell into a rhythm that felt both natural and surreal. Maya reduced her hours at the diner, claiming a family obligation that her manager accepted with surprising ease after a phone call from someone she never identified. 3 times a week, she met Dante and Marco at various locations around the city. Parks, mostly, but also the Children's Museum, the aquarium, once even the botanical gardens where Marco and Lily had raced through the butterfly exhibit, with their hands flying in excited conversation. Each time, the security was there. Maya had learned to spot them now, the man reading a newspaper on the same bench for 40 minutes, the jogger who passed by 3 times in an hour, the woman with the stroller who never actually looked at her baby. They were professionals, exactly as Dante had promised. But their presence was a constant reminder that this arrangement was anything but normal. The money kept coming too. Dante would hand her an envelope at the end of each session, always with more cash than seemed reasonable, for a few hours of letting children play together. Maya had stopped protesting after the 2nd week, when she'd been able to pay not just her rent, but also 3 months ahead, and had taken Lily to get new shoes and that dentist appointment without her stomach twisting with anxiety about the cost. But it was the signing lessons with Dante that surprised her most. He was a dedicated student in a way that made Maya's chest tight. Twice a week, after the children finished playing, Dante would stay for an extra 30 minutes, while one of his security team took Marco for ice cream with Lily chaperoning enthusiastically. In those 30 minutes, Maya taught Dante not just signs but the language underneath them, the facial expressions that gave context, the body language that conveyed emotion, the rhythm and flow that made signing feel like music instead of just gestures. You're getting better. Maya signed one afternoon in early October, 3 weeks into their arrangement. They were sitting on a bench in Lincoln Park while autumn leaves drifted around them. Marco must be happy you can understand him more easily now. He is. Dante's signing was still careful, deliberate, but growing more fluid. Last night he told me about a dream he had. About his mother. It's the first time he's shared something like that since she died. Maya's heart squeezed. What did he say? That she was teaching him to bake cookies in the dream. That she was laughing. Dante's hand slowed. That when he woke up, he was sad the dream ended but happy he could remember her laugh. That's beautiful. That's healing. Because of you. Because of Lily. Dante's dark eyes met hers. You gave him back his voice. He always had a voice. We just helped him feel safe using it. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the leaves fall. Maya had grown used to Dante's presence over the past weeks. The way he occupied space with quiet intensity. The way his attention felt like a physical thing when it focused on her. She'd learned that he took his coffee black, that he was left-handed, that he had a scar on his right forearm he never explained. She'd learned that beneath the dangerous exterior was a man who loved his son with a fierceness that made her understand why he'd approached a stranger in a playground out of desperation. Can I ask you something? Maya said, breaking the silence. Always. Why doesn't Marco go to school? I've never seen him in a uniform. Never heard you mention homework or teachers. Dante was quiet for a long moment. He's homeschooled. Has been since Maria died. Because of the not speaking? Because the world isn't safe. Dante's voice was carefully neutral. Because I have enemies who would use him to get to me. Because keeping him close means keeping him protected. Maya turned to face him fully. Dante, that's not a childhood. That's a prison. That's survival. His jaw tightened. You don't understand the world I live in. Then help me understand. Maya kept her voice gentle but firm. Because I'm in it now too. Whether I meant to be or not. Your security follows me to work. I see the same cars on my street. Lily's noticed that the nice man at the playground is always there when we meet Marco. She paused. If we're doing this, if you want me to keep helping Marco, I need to know what I'm walking into. Dante stood abruptly, his hands clenching and unclenching at his sides. He walked a few steps away, his back to her, and Maya waited. She'd learned that Dante needed space sometimes, needed to wrestle with words before they came out. When he turned back, his expression was harder than she'd seen it. My family has been in Chicago for 4 generations. We started with restaurants, legitimate businesses, but my grandfather made deals with people who operated outside the law. Protection money, territory agreements. By the time my father inherited the business, we were in too deep to get out cleanly. Maya's mouth went dry. You're Mafia. I'm a businessman with complicated connections. Dante's voice was flat. I've spent the last 10 years trying to legitimize our operations. Most of our money comes from legal sources, now restaurants, real estate, investments. But the old connections remain, the old enemies remember. And there are people who would love nothing more than to see the Moretti family fall. And Marco is leverage. Dante's hands clenched into fists. 18 months ago, a rival family tried to send a message. They ran Maria's car off the road. It was meant to be a warning, a reminder that I'm vulnerable. Instead, his voice cracked slightly. Instead, it killed my wife and traumatized my son. So yes, I keep him close. Yes, I keep him protected. Because I already lost one person I love, and I won't lose him too. Maya stood slowly, processing. She should run. Should grab Lily and disappear before this world swallowed them whole. But she looked at Dante's face, at the raw pain he was trying so hard to control, and she couldn't make her feet move. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I'm so sorry that happened to you. To Marco. Don't pity me. Dante's voice was sharp. I made choices that led here. I knew the risks. But Marco didn't choose this life, and neither did you. That's why I'm telling you now, so you can walk away if you need to. I'll understand. I'll even make sure you're protected. That no one connects you to me in a way that could cause problems. But I need you to decide. Decide what? If you can live with what I am. If you can accept that being close to Marco means being close to danger. If you can trust me to keep you and Lily safe despite everything. Dante's eyes were intense, searching. Because this isn't just about signing lessons anymore, Maya. You and Lily have become important to Marco. To me. And in my world, that makes you both vulnerable and precious. Maya's heart was hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. You're asking me to choose between Lily's safety and Marco's happiness. I'm asking you to trust that I would die before I let anything happen to either of them. To any of you. Dante took a step closer. My security isn't just for show. Every person who watches over Marco is someone I trust with my life. And now they're watching over you too. I don't need protection. Yes, you do. Dante's voice was gentle but implacable. The moment you became part of Marco's life, you became a potential target. That's not a threat, it's just reality. The Costas family, the people who killed Maria, they notice everything. They're watching me for weaknesses. And a woman and child who make my son smile? That's a weakness they'll try to exploit. Maya felt cold despite the mild afternoon. Then maybe we should stop. Maybe it's too dangerous. If you want to walk away, I'll respect that. Dante's expression was carefully neutral. But know this. Marco has started talking about the future again. He asks when he'll see Lily next. He's learning to trust the world again because of her. Because of you. And Lily, he paused. Lily lights up when she sees him. She's told my security team that Marco is her best friend, that he understands her in ways other kids don't. Maya's eyes stung. It was true. Lily had been happier these past weeks than Maya had seen her in months. She came home from their sessions with Marco, chattering about everything they'd discussed. Teaching Maya new signs Marco had shown her. Asking constantly when they could see him again. This is crazy, Maya whispered. This whole thing is insane. I know. Dante's voice was soft, But sometimes the best things are. Before Maya could respond, Lily and Marco came running up, faces flushed and happy, security guard trailing at a discreet distance. "Mama, can Marco come to our apartment?" Lily signed excitedly. "I want to show him my books and my stuffed animals and my drawings." Maya's instinct was to say no, to keep her home separate from this world, to maintain some boundary between her normal life and whatever this was becoming. But Marco was looking at her with such hope in his eyes, and Dante's words echoed in her head. "He's learning to trust the world again." "How about this weekend?" Maya heard herself say. "Saturday afternoon, if it's okay with Marco's dad." Dante's expression shifted, something warm breaking through his usual control. "That would be fine. I'll drive you both." "You don't have to, Maya." Dante's voice held a note of humor. "I'm not letting you take my son on public transportation. Humor me." And that's how, on Saturday afternoon, Maya found herself watching a black Mercedes with tinted windows pull up in front of her apartment building, the kind of car that didn't belong in this neighborhood, that immediately drew curious stares from her neighbors. Dante got out first, scanning the street with practiced ease before opening the back door for Marco. The boy practically bounced out of the car, his eyes bright with excitement as he spotted Lily waiting on the building's front steps. "Nice place," Dante said, and Maya couldn't tell if he was being sincere or polite. "It's what I can afford." Maya unlocked the building's front door, leading them up 3 flights of stairs to her apartment. It's not much, but it's home. She unlocked her apartment door and immediately saw her home through Dante's eyes. The cramped living room with secondhand furniture, the kitchen that was barely more than a galley, the water stain on the ceiling from the leak last month that the landlord still hadn't fixed. It was clean, carefully maintained, but unmistakably the home of someone living paycheck to paycheck. Dante's expression didn't change, but she saw his eyes taking in every detail, the locks on the door that were old and flimsy, the window in the living room that didn't quite close all the way, the fire escape visible through Lily's bedroom window. "The security here is inadequate," he said quietly. "The security here is what I can afford," Maya replied, more sharply than she intended. Before Dante could respond, Lily and Marco had disappeared into Lily's room, and Maya could hear them laughing. She walked to the kitchen, needing distance from Dante's penetrating gaze. "Do you want coffee? It's not fancy, but—" "Maya." Dante followed her into the small kitchen. "I'm not judging you. I'm assessing risk. Everything's a risk with you." Maya filled the coffee pot with water, her hands shaking slightly. "My apartment is a risk. The playground is a risk. Existing near your son is apparently a risk." "Yes," Dante's voice was matter-of-fact. "That's my reality. And now it's yours too." Maya turned to face him, anger and fear mixing in her chest. "I didn't ask for this. I just wanted to help a lonely kid connect with my daughter." "I know." Dante's expression softened. "And you've done that. You've given Marco something I couldn't: connection, friendship, joy. But consequences come with that, whether we want them or not. So, what do you suggest? We can't exactly live in a fortress. Actually," Dante pulled out his phone. "I own a building in Lincoln Park. Luxury apartments, top-level security, doorman, cameras, the works. There's a 3-bedroom unit that's been vacant for 2 months. I'd like you and Lily to move in." Maya stared at him. "You can't be serious. Completely serious. No rent, utilities covered, furnished if you need it." Dante's voice was calm, as if he was discussing something completely reasonable. "Your safety matters to me, Maya. Let me ensure it. I can't just move into your building. That's too much. That's crossing every line we've established." "What lines?" Dante took a step closer. "The ones where I pretend I'm not worried about you living in an apartment with inadequate security? The ones where I pretend I don't think about whether you made it home safely? The ones where I act like you and Lily haven't become part of my life?" Maya's breath caught. "Dante, I'm not asking for anything in return." His voice was intense but controlled. "I'm not trying to control you or trap you. I'm trying to keep you safe. There's a difference. Is there?" Maya's voice was barely a whisper. "Because from where I'm standing, it feels like you're taking over my life. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one." Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and took her hand. His palm was warm, calloused, and Maya felt the touch all the way to her spine. "I'm not trying to take over your life," he said quietly. "I'm trying to protect it. There's a difference. Even if it doesn't feel like it right now." He paused. "My wife died because I didn't take threats seriously enough. Because I thought our home security was sufficient. Because I believed that showing vulnerability was weakness. I won't make that mistake again. Not with Marco. And not with you." Maya looked down at their joined hands. "Why do I matter to you? Really? I'm just the woman who helped your son. You're not just anything." Dante's thumb brushed across her knuckles. "You're the person who saw Marco as whole instead of broken. You're the woman who works herself to exhaustion for her daughter. He stopped, seeming to wrestle with words. "You're the first person in a long time who's made me feel human, instead of just dangerous." Maya's heart was hammering. This was a line they were crossing, one she couldn't uncross. "I don't know if I can do this. Be part of your world. Then don't decide now." Dante's voice was gentle. "Just think about the apartment. Tour it at least. Let me show you what real security looks like. And then make your choice." Before Maya could respond, Lily and Marco burst into the kitchen, signing excitedly about something. Marco tugged on Dante's sleeve, and the boy's hands moved rapidly. "He wants to know if they can have a sleepover sometime," Dante translated, a slight smile touching his lips. Lily apparently promised to teach him how to make friendship bracelets. "Please, Mama?" Lily's eyes were huge and pleading. Maya looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at Marco's excited expression, at Dante's careful neutrality that didn't quite hide the vulnerability underneath. She was already in too deep, had been since the moment she'd agreed to help Marco in that playground. "Maybe," she said finally, "let's see how things go." Lily squealed and hugged Marco, who laughed silently, and the two children disappeared back into Lily's room. Dante was watching Maya with an intensity that made her skin warm. "Thank you. I haven't decided anything yet. But you're thinking about it. That's enough." He was right, she was, thinking about it. About safety and security, and what it might mean to let Dante Moretti into her life in a way that went beyond signing lessons and supervised playdates. About whether she was brave enough or foolish enough to step fully into his dangerous world. The afternoon passed in a strange domestic haze. The children played while Maya made sandwiches, and Dante sat at her small kitchen table, looking absurdly out of place in her cramped apartment with his expensive clothes and dangerous reputation. They talked about Marco's progress, about Lily's upcoming school concert, about nothing and everything. It felt normal in a way that terrified Maya, because there was nothing normal about any of this. When Dante and Marco finally left as evening fell, Dante paused at the door. "Thursday, the apartment viewing, 2:00. I'll have Vincent pick you up from the diner." I didn't say yes. "No, but you will." Dante's confidence should have annoyed her. Instead, it made something in her chest flutter. "Because you're smart enough to recognize when stubbornness becomes stupidity. And living in an apartment with broken locks in a neighborhood where my enemies could find you, that's stupidity. You're very sure of yourself. I'm sure of you." Dante's expression softened. "You'll do what's best for Lily. You always do." He left before Maya could respond, and she stood in her doorway watching him and Marco disappear down the stairs. Through her window, she saw them get into the Mercedes, saw the security vehicle that had been parked across the street pull out behind them, saw her neighborhood return to its normal rhythm. "I really like Marco's dad," Lily signed from behind her. "He's nice. And he looks at you the way Prince Eric looks at Ariel in the movie." Maya's cheeks heated. "Lily, it's okay, Mama. I think it's good. You've been sad for a long time, since before we moved here. Since Daddy left." Lily's hands were gentle, careful. "Marco's dad makes you smile different. Better." Maya pulled her daughter into a hug, her throat tight. Lily was too perceptive, saw too much. But she wasn't wrong. Dante did make her feel different, safer, seen, important in a way she hadn't felt since her ex-husband had walked out 3 years ago, leaving her with a toddler and a pile of debt. Thursday came too quickly. Vincent, who Maya had learned was Dante's head of security, and had a surprisingly gentle demeanor for someone who carried a gun under his jacket, picked her up from the diner at 1:30. The drive to Lincoln Park took 20 minutes through afternoon traffic, and Maya spent the entire time trying not to throw up from nerves. The building Dante owned was exactly what she'd expected. Sleek, modern, with a doorman in an actual uniform and a lobby that looked like a hotel. Vincent led her to the elevator, which required a keycard to access the upper floors. "Mr. Moretti is waiting upstairs," Vincent said, his voice kind. "He's nervous, if that helps." "Nervous?" Maya couldn't imagine Dante nervous about anything. He doesn't do this often. Care about people outside the family. Vincent gave her a meaningful look. "You and your daughter, you matter to him. To Marco. He's just trying to do right by you both." The elevator opened on the 15th floor, and Dante was standing in the hallway, dressed casually in dark jeans and a navy sweater that made his eyes look even darker. He looked younger somehow, less guarded. "Hi," he said, and Maya heard the uncertainty in his voice. "Hi." Dante opened the door to apartment 1504, and Maya stepped inside. Her breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the park, flooding the space with natural light. The living room was huge, easily 3 times the size of her entire current apartment. The kitchen had granite counters and stainless steel appliances that looked like they'd never been used. 2 bedrooms opened off a hallway, each with its own bathroom, and a 3rd bedroom. That could be an office or playroom. It was beautiful. It was perfect. It was completely impossible. "I can't afford this," Maya said quietly. "You don't have to." Dante stood near the windows, giving her space to explore. "It's mine. I want you to have it." Charity. Preparing and narrating this type of story took us long efforts and hard work. So if you are enjoying the story, please consider subscribing to our channel. Investment. Dante's voice was firm. "You're helping my son heal. You're teaching me how to communicate with him. That's worth more than rent money, Maya. Let me do this, please." Maya walked to the windows, looking out over the park where autumn trees blazed with color. She could see Lily here running in that park, playing in this space, sleeping in a bedroom with an actual door that locked and windows that closed properly. She could see herself here, safe, secure, not worrying constantly about money and safety. But she could also see the invisible threads connecting her to Dante, pulling tighter with every favor accepted, every boundary crossed. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly, not turning around. "Want from you?" Dante's voice was closer now, right behind her. "Nobody does something like this without wanting something in return. Nobody. I want you safe." Dante's reflection appeared in the window beside hers. "I want Lily protected. I want Marco to keep the happiness you've given him. That's what I want. Nothing else?" Dante was quiet for a long moment. "I want you to trust me. I want you to believe that I'm capable of caring about people without ulterior motives. I want—" He stopped, seemed to wrestle with something. "I want to know that you and Lily are sleeping soundly at night instead of worrying about every noise outside your door." Maya turned to face him. They were standing close, closer than they'd ever been, and she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, the faint scar above his left eyebrow, the barely visible tension in his jaw. "My ex-husband used to help me too," she said quietly. "He'd pay for things, buy me gifts, make me dependent on him, and then he'd use that dependence against me, to control me, to make me feel like I owed him everything, including the right to walk away when he started drinking too much, yelling too much, hurting too much." Dante's expression darkened. "Where is he now?" "Gone. Disappeared 3 years ago when I finally got the courage to leave. Sent divorce papers through his lawyer and that was it. No contact, no child support, nothing. Good." Dante's voice was cold in a way that made Maya shiver. "Because if he ever shows up again, he won't. He made it very clear that Lily and I weren't worth the trouble." Maya's voice wavered slightly. "But my point is I can't be dependent on anyone again. I can't give up control of my life, even for something as tempting as this apartment." "Then don't." Dante reached out slowly and took her hand again, that same gentle touch that made her feel both safe and terrified. "Move in. Let me protect you. But keep your job if you want. Keep your independence. The apartment is yours. I'll sign whatever paperwork you need to feel secure in that. If you decide tomorrow that you want to walk away from all of this, you can. The apartment remains yours. No strings. That's not how the world works. It's how my world works when it comes to you." Dante's voice was intense. "I don't want to control you, Maya. I want to keep you safe while you figure out if we are something worth exploring." Maya's breath caught. "We? You feel it too. I know you do." Dante's thumb brushed across her knuckles. "This thing between us that's been building since that first day in the playground. The way you watch me when you think I'm not looking. The way I can't stop thinking about you between our meetings. The way it feels like coming home when I see you. That's just... Maya's voice failed her. What? Convenience? Gratitude? Transference? Dante stepped closer, his free hand coming up to cup her face gently. I know what this is, Maya. I'm a grown man who's loved and lost. I recognize the difference between what's real and what's expedient. This is real. Maya's heart was pounding so hard she could barely breathe. I have Lily to think about. I can't just... I know. I have Marco. We both have children whose safety and happiness come first. Dante's voice was soft. That's why this apartment has a 2-bedroom layout, so Lily has her own space that's hers, that she can personalize however she wants. That's why I want you here, so I know both of you are protected while we figure out what this is between us without rushing, without pressure. This is insane, Maya whispered. Maybe. Dante's lips curved into the smallest smile. But you're still considering it. He was right. God help her. He was right. Because standing here in this beautiful apartment with Dante's hand, gentle on her face, she could imagine it a life where safety wasn't a luxury, where Lily could grow up without Maya's constant underlying anxiety, where Maya herself might have space to breathe and become someone more than just a single mother struggling to survive. And yes, a life where Dante Moretti was part of their world, where his darkness became something she learned to live with, where his protection became something she learned to accept, where the connection growing between them became something she finally let herself explore. I need time, she said quietly. I need to think. Take all the time you need. Dante's thumb brushed across her cheekbone, and Maya felt the touch all the way through her body. But while you're thinking, keep in mind that the Costa family knows who you are now, that they've seen you with Marco, that your current apartment has locks a determined 10-year-old could break. His voice dropped lower. That I lie awake at night worrying about you. You barely know me. I know enough. Dante's dark eyes held hers. I know you're brave and kind and stronger than you realize. I know you'd do anything for your daughter. I know you see good in people even when they don't see it in themselves. I know that when you smile at me, I feel something I haven't felt since Maria died. Maya's eyes stung with tears. This is too fast. Then we'll slow down. Dante stepped back, giving her space, though his hand lingered on hers for a moment before releasing. Move in or don't, but at least let me upgrade your current apartment's security. Better locks, cameras, panic button, something so I can sleep at night knowing you're safe. That was reasonable. That was the compromise Maya needed. Okay. The security upgrades. That I can accept. Dante nodded, though something in his expression suggested he wasn't giving up on the apartment idea. I'll have Vincent handle it, tomorrow morning, if that works. That works. They stood there for a moment. Longer, the silence between them heavy with everything unsaid. Finally, Dante cleared his throat. I should get you back. Vincent's waiting downstairs. Maya nodded, and they rode the elevator down in silence. But as Vincent drove her back to the diner, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the apartment, about Dante's words, about the way her heart had raced when he'd touched her face. She was in trouble. Deep, complicated, dangerous trouble. The security upgrades happened exactly as Dante promised. Vincent and his team arrived at 7 the next morning with new locks, cameras, and a panic button system that connected directly to Dante's security network. They worked efficiently, professionally, and by noon Maya's apartment was more secure than it had ever been. But security couldn't protect against everything. The first sign of trouble came on a Tuesday afternoon, 3 days after the apartment viewing. Maya was working the lunch shift at the diner when a man in an expensive suit sat down at the counter. He was handsome in a sharp-edged way, with slicked-back dark hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Coffee, black, he said, his accent thick Italian. Maya thought, though different from Dante's subtle inflection. Maya poured the coffee, her instincts prickling. Something about him felt wrong. You're Maya Torres, he said, not a question. Maya's hand tightened on the coffee pot. Do I know you? No, but I know you. The man's smile widened. I know you spend time with Dante Moretti's son. I know you're teaching the boy to communicate. I know you've become quite important to the Moretti family. Maya set down the coffee pot carefully, her heart hammering. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play stupid. It doesn't suit you. The man leaned forward. My name is Antonio Costa. My family has business with Dante. Business he's been avoiding. But perhaps with the right motivation, he'll be more cooperative. I'm not involved in whatever business. You have... You became involved the moment you started caring for Marco Moretti. Antonio's voice was pleasant, conversational, which made his words even more chilling. Tell Dante that we'll be in touch, and that his choice to legitimize his operations is inconvenient for those of us who prefer the old ways. He stood, dropped a $20 bill on the counter, and walked out without drinking the coffee. Maya's hands were shaking so badly she had to grip the counter to steady herself. She pulled out her phone with trembling fingers and texted Dante. Maya. Someone from the Costa family was just here. At the diner. He knows about me and Marco. The response came within seconds. Dante. Are you safe right now? Where's Lily? Maya. I'm fine. He just talked. Lily's at school. Dante. Vincent is on his way. Don't leave the diner until he arrives. I'm pulling Lily out of school early. We need to talk. Maya wanted to argue, to insist this was an overreaction. But she remembered Antonio, Costa's smile, and the cold certainty in his voice. She texted back a simple okay and waited. Vincent arrived 15 minutes later with 2 other security personnel. They escorted Maya to a black SUV and drove her to Dante's home. Not his penthouse, but an actual house in an exclusive neighborhood Maya had only ever seen in magazines. The house was massive, all stone and glass and security that was invisible but clearly present. Vincent led her through the front door into a foyer that could have held her entire apartment, then to a study where Dante was waiting. He looked different than she'd ever seen him, harder, colder, with an edge that reminded her exactly who and what he was. When he saw her, though, some of that hardness cracked. Are you hurt? He crossed the room quickly, his hands coming up to frame her face as he searched her eyes. Did he touch you? No, he just talked. Maya's voice was steadier than she felt. But Dante, he knew everything. About me, about Marco, about I know. Dante's jaw was tight. They've been watching. I knew they would be, but I thought... He stopped himself, stepping back and running a hand through his hair in a gesture of frustration Maya had never seen from him before. I thought I had more time before they made a move. What do they want? They want me to stop legitimizing the family businesses. They want me to stay involved in the drug trade, the gambling, the money laundering, all the things I've been trying to phase out. Dante's voice was harsh. The Moretti name carries weight in this city. If I go legitimate, it opens the door for others to do the same. And families like the Costas lose power. So they'll use Marco to threaten you? They'll use anyone I care about. Dante's eyes met hers, and Maya saw fear there, real, genuine fear. That's why I need you to move into the apartment in Lincoln Park. Today. Now. You and Lily both. Dante, this isn't a request, Maya. His voice was firm but not angry. Antonio Costa doesn't make social calls. That was a warning. Next time, it won't be just talk. Before Maya could respond, the study door opened, and Vincent entered with Lily. The little girl's eyes were wide, her face pale, and she ran straight to Maya. Mama, what's happening? Why did the nice man take me out of school? Maya held her daughter tight, signing over her head to Dante. You're scaring her. Better scared and safe than brave and dead. Dante crouched down to Lily's level, his expression gentling. I'm sorry we frightened you, Lily. Your mom and I need to talk about some grown-up things. Would you like to go play with Marco? He's in the playroom upstairs with my mother. Lily looked at Maya, seeking permission. Maya nodded, though her chest felt too tight to breathe properly. Go ahead, sweetheart. I'll come get you soon. Vincent led Lily away, and Maya turned on Dante. Your mother? Marco's grandmother lives here? She moved in after Maria died. To help with Marco. Dante's voice was strained. Maya, we don't have time for this. I need you to trust me. I need you to let me protect you. By moving into your building? By putting myself even deeper into your world? By accepting that you're already in my world? Dante's voice rose slightly, frustration breaking through his control. You became part of this the moment Marco smiled at Lily in that playground. The moment you agreed to help him. The moment He stopped abruptly. The moment you what? Maya's voice was barely a whisper. Dante's expression cracked open, showing vulnerability she'd never seen before. The moment I realized I was falling for you. That you weren't just someone helping my son. That when I saw you, I felt alive again in a way I haven't since Maria died. That scared me because caring about people in my world gets them hurt. But it's too late now. I care. And the Costas know it. Maya's breath caught. Dante. I love my son. I would die for him. Dante's voice, was rough with emotion. "And I'm falling in love with you, Maya, with your strength and your kindness and the way you make me want to be better than what I am. So please, please let me keep you safe, because I can't lose someone else I love. I won't survive it." Tears were streaming down Maya's face now. This was too much, too fast, too intense. But it was also real. She could see it in Dante's eyes, feel it in the way his hands shook slightly when he reached for her. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know. So am I." Dante pulled her into his arms, and Maya let herself collapse against his chest, feeling his heart hammering beneath her cheek. "But I swear to you on Marco's life, on everything I hold sacred, I will keep you and Lily safe. Whatever it takes." Maya pulled back enough to look up at him. "What does whatever it takes mean?" Dante's expression hardened. "It means I remind the Costa family why the Moretti name still carries weight in this city. Why threatening people I care about is a mistake they only make once." "You're talking about violence. I'm talking about protection." Dante's voice was steady. "I've spent 10 years trying to be legitimate, trying to keep my hands clean. But if they threaten you, if they threaten Lily or Marco, I'll do whatever I have to do." Maya should have been horrified, should have grabbed Lily and run. But she looked into Dante's eyes and saw not a monster but a man who'd already lost his wife, who was terrified of losing his son, who was now offering her and Lily protection at any cost. "Okay," she said quietly. "We'll move into the apartment. Today." Relief flooded Dante's face. "Thank you, but I have conditions. Anything. Lily doesn't know about the danger. Not yet. She thinks this is just us getting closer to you and Marco. I want to keep it that way as long as possible." "Agreed." "And you don't." Maya's voice wavered. "You don't do anything that will get you killed or arrested. Whatever you're planning for the Costa family, it stays legal. Or as legal as possible in your world." Dante was quiet for a moment. "I can't promise legal, but I can promise I won't take unnecessary risks, that I'll come back to you and Marco." It wasn't enough, but it was all she was going to get. "When do we move?" Maya asked. "Now. Vincent's already sent people to pack your apartment. Everything will be moved today, set up tonight. By tomorrow morning, it will feel like home." Maya's head was spinning. "You had people packing my apartment?" "I had people ready to pack your apartment the moment you agreed." Dante's lips curved slightly. "I was hoping you'd say yes. Presumptuous. Prepared." Dante cupped her face gently. "Maya, I know this is overwhelming. I know I'm asking you to turn your entire life upside down, but I promise you this is the right choice. You'll be safe. Lily will be safe. And maybe," his voice softened, "maybe we can figure out what this is between us without constant fear." Maya leaned into his touch, letting herself have this moment of comfort before everything changed. "I'm still terrified." "Good. That means you're smart." Dante pressed a kiss to her forehead, gentle and tender. "But you're also brave. Braver than you know." The apartment in Lincoln Park became home faster than Maya expected. Dante had been right by the next morning. All of Maya and Lily's belongings were unpacked and arranged. Lily's room was decorated with her favorite colors, her stuffed animals arranged on the bed, her drawings hung on the walls. Maya's room was simple but elegant, with a king-sized bed that felt absurdly luxurious and a bathroom that had heated floors. But it was the little touches that made Maya's chest tight. Fresh flowers in the living room, Lily's favorite cereal in the kitchen, a framed photo of Maya and Lily on the mantel that someone must have taken from their old apartment. Dante had thought of everything. The security was ever present, but subtle. Cameras in the hallways, a doorman who was clearly ex-military, keycard access to their floor. Vincent lived 3 floors down and checked in twice a day. Maya should have felt trapped, but instead she felt safe for the first time in years. Lily adapted quickly, as children do. She loved having her own room, loved the park across the street, loved that Marco and his grandmother lived only 15 minutes away. Dante's mother, Isabella, was a warm, graceful woman in her 60s who immediately adopted Maya and Lily as family. She'd learned sign language to communicate with Marco, and she and Lily became fast friends despite the age gap. For 2 weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. Maya still worked at the diner. She'd insisted on keeping her job, needing the independence, but she reduced her hours. She spent afternoons with Lily, evenings often with Dante and Marco, learning to navigate this strange new world where luxury and danger lived side by side. Dante was patient, respectful of boundaries, never pushing for more than Maya was ready to give. But the tension between them grew with each passing day. The way his hand would linger on her waist when he said goodbye. The way her breath would catch when he smiled at her. The way they'd find excuses to touch, to be close, to exist in each other's space. They hadn't kissed yet, hadn't crossed that line, but Maya knew it was coming, inevitable as gravity. The Costa family was quiet. Too quiet, Dante said. He'd increased security, had his people monitoring their movements, but Antonio Costa hadn't made another direct approach. It felt like the calm before a storm. The storm broke on a Friday evening. Maya was at Dante's house for dinner, a regular occurrence now when Dante's phone rang. She watched his expression change from relaxed to deadly serious in seconds. "When?" he said into the phone, his voice ice-cold. "How many?" A pause. "No. Keep Marco and Lily inside. Full lockdown. I'm coming now." He hung up and immediately started typing on his phone, his jaw tight. "What happened?" Maya asked, fear creeping up her spine. "The Costa family made a move, not against us directly, against one of my restaurants. They shot up the place during dinner service." Dante's voice was controlled, but Maya could see the fury underneath. 3 customers injured, one of my managers in critical condition. They left a message spray-painted on the wall. "Give up the woman or lose everything." Maya's blood ran cold. "They mean me." "Yes." Dante's eyes met hers. "They're trying to force my hand. Make me choose between keeping you safe and avoiding a war." "Then let me go." Maya's voice was shaking. "I'll leave the city, take Lily somewhere far away." "No." The word was absolute. "That's exactly what they want. They want me to give up, to show weakness, to prove that threats work. I won't do it. But people are hurt because of me. People are hurt because the Costa family are animals who don't understand that the old ways are dying." Dante crossed the room and gripped her shoulders, his eyes intense. "This isn't your fault, Maya. This is decades of bad blood and power struggles. You're just the excuse they're using. What are you going to do?" Dante's expression went cold, and Maya saw the dangerous man underneath the father and lover. "I'm going to remind them why my family has survived in this city for 4 generations. Why threatening what's mine is a fatal mistake. Dante, you can't. I can and I will." He released her shoulders and pulled out his phone again. "Vincent is coming to take you and Lily back to the apartment. Full security detail. You don't leave for any reason until I say it's safe. How long will that take?" "As long as it takes." Dante's voice softened slightly as he cupped her face. "I need you to trust me, Maya. Can you do that?" Maya searched his eyes, seeing determination and fury, and underneath it all, fear not for himself but for her. "The children. Promise me you'll come back." "I promise." Dante leaned down and pressed his forehead to hers, his breath warm against her lips. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." Then he kissed her. It was fierce and desperate, filled with all the emotion they'd been holding back for weeks. Maya's hands fisted in his shirt as she kissed him back, pouring every ounce of fear and hope and love into it. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "Stay safe," Maya whispered. "Always." Dante kissed her once more, quick and hard. "Vincent," the security chief appeared instantly. "Boss?" "Take Maya and the children to the Lincoln Park apartment. Full lockdown protocol. No one in or out without my direct authorization." "Understood." Dante looked at Maya one last time, his expression raw. "I love you. Remember that, no matter what happens next." "I love you too," Maya said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. But they were true terrifyingly, completely true. She'd fallen in love with Dante Moretti despite every reason not to, and now she was trapped in his world with no way out. Not that she wanted one anymore. The next 72 hours were the longest of Maya's life. She, Lily, Marco, and Isabella were confined to the Lincoln Park apartment with 6 security personnel stationed throughout the building. Vincent came and went, his expression grim, but he wouldn't tell Maya what was happening beyond Dante's handling it. Lily and Marco were blissfully unaware of the danger, spending their time playing games and watching movies. But Maya could see the tension in Isabella's face, the way the older woman's hands trembled slightly when she signed, the worried looks she exchanged with Vincent. On the second night, Maya couldn't take it anymore. When Vincent arrived with their dinner, she cornered him in the kitchen. "Tell me what's happening, please." Vincent sighed, running a hand over his face. "Dante's meeting with the heads of the other families. calling in favors, reminding people of old alliances. He's isolating the Costas, turning their own people against them. Is it working? So far. But Antonio Costa isn't going quietly. There've been incidents. Nothing major yet, but it's escalating. Is Dante safe? He's got the best protection in the city. But safe? Vincent's expression was troubled. In this life, no one's ever really safe, Maya. You just learn to manage the risks. Maya's chest felt too tight. I should never have agreed to help Marco. I should have walked away that first day. If you had, Marco would still be silent, and Dante would still be half dead inside. Vincent's voice was kind. You gave them both something to live for again. That's worth the complications. Even if people get hurt, people were going to get hurt eventually. The Costas have been looking for an excuse to challenge Dante's legitimacy push for months. You're not the cause, you're just the catalyst. Vincent paused. For what it's worth, I've worked for Dante for 12 years. I've never seen him care about someone the way he cares about you. That's not nothing. Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. On the third day, late afternoon, the apartment door burst open and Dante walked in. He looked exhausted, 3 days of stubble on his jaw, dark circles under his eyes, his shirt wrinkled and stained. But he was alive, whole, and when his eyes found Maya's, relief flooded his face. It's done, he said simply. Maya crossed the room and threw herself into his arms. Dante caught her, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe, his face buried in her hair. I was so scared, Maya whispered. I know. I'm sorry. Dante pulled back enough to look at her face, his hands framing her cheeks. But it's over. The Costas backed down. How? I convinced the other families that Antonio's methods were bad for business, that attacking civilians and shooting up restaurants brought too much attention from law. Enforcement. They cut him loose. Dante's expression was hard. Without their support, the Costas are nothing. They've agreed to leave Chicago, relocate their operations to the West Coast. Just like that? Not just like that. It took 3 days of negotiations, threats, and reminders of why crossing the Moretti family is a bad idea. Dante's voice was tired. But yes, you're safe now. The children are safe. We can go back to normal. Normal. Maya laughed, a slightly hysterical edge to it. Our normal involves mafia politics and security details. Yes. Dante's thumbs brushed across her cheekbones. Is that something you can live with? Maya looked past him to where Marco and Lily were hugging, their hands flying in excited conversation about how they'd missed each other even though they'd been together the whole time. She looked at Isabella, who was crying with relief. She looked back at Dante, at the man who'd fought to keep them all safe, who'd risked everything because he loved his son and had somehow fallen in love with her too. Yes, she said quietly. I can live with it, as long as you're here. Always. Dante kissed her softly. I'm not going anywhere. 3 months later, on a cold January morning, Maya woke up in Dante's bed. They'd taken things slowly after the Costa incident dates, family dinners, careful steps toward building something real. But last night, after putting the children to bed, after months of tension and longing, they'd finally crossed that final line. Maya turned her head on the pillow and found Dante watching her, his dark eyes soft in the early morning light. Hi, she said, feeling shy despite everything. Hi. Dante reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Any regrets? None. Maya shifted closer, resting her head on his chest and listening to his heartbeat. You! Only that we waited so long. Dante's hand traced lazy patterns on her back. I love you, Maya Torres. I want you to know that. This isn't just about convenience or protection or the children. I love you. I love you too. Maya tilted her head up to kiss him. Even though you're complicated and dangerous and your world is insane. Especially because of that? Dante's lips curved into a smile. Maybe. Maya laughed. Lily's going to figure out I didn't sleep in my own bed last night. Lily already knows. She's 7, not blind. Dante's voice was amused. She asked me last week when I was going to officially ask you to be my girlfriend. Said Marco was getting impatient, waiting for us to do the romance thing. Maya groaned. These children are too smart for their own good. They get it from their parents. The words hung in the air. Their parents, plural. Like they were already a family. And maybe they were. Maya thought about the past few months, the way they'd blended their lives together. The way Marco called her apartment home now. The way Lily had started calling Isabella Nana. The way Dante had been there for every moment, big and small. "I have something to ask you," Dante said, his voice suddenly serious. Maya's heart jumped. "Okay. Move in here. Officially. You and Lily. Make this your home. Not just a place you stay sometimes. Dante, I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. But I want you here. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want Lily and Marco to grow up as siblings. I want—" He stopped, seeming to struggle with words. "I want us to be a family, a real family." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Yes. Yes. Yes, we'll move in. Yes, we'll be a family. Yes to all of it." Maya kissed him, tasting salt from her own tears. "I love you, Dante Moretti. Even though you're impossible and overprotective and way too good at getting your way. It's a gift." Dante grinned, then kissed her again. "We should tell the children. They probably already know," Maya said, laughing. "Nothing gets past those two. They were right." When Maya and Dante emerged from the bedroom an hour later, fully dressed and trying to act casual, they found Marco and Lily sitting at the kitchen table with Isabella. All three were signing excitedly, but they fell silent when they noticed the adults. Then Lily's face broke into the biggest smile Maya had ever seen. Finally, she signed dramatically. "Marco, you owe me $5. I told you it would happen before Valentine's Day. You bet on us?" Maya signed, trying to look stern but failing completely. Isabella helped. Lily signed innocently. The older woman just smiled and signed. "I have no idea what she's talking about." Dante laughed, a full, genuine sound that made Maya's heart soar. He pulled her against his side and signed to the children. "How would you both feel about Maya and Lily moving in here permanently? All of us living together as a family?" Marco's response was immediate. He jumped out of his chair and threw himself at Maya and Dante, hugging them both fiercely. His hands moved rapidly. "Really? Forever? Really?" "Forever," Dante signed back. Lily joined the hug, and suddenly they were all tangled together, laughing and signing and crying happy tears. Isabella stood watching with her hand over her heart, her own eyes wet. "We're a family," Marco signed, his face radiant with joy. "We're a family," Maya signed back, looking around at these people who'd become everything to her in just a few short months. Later that evening, after the children were asleep and Isabella had retired to her wing of the house, Maya and Dante sat on the couch in the living room. Dante had his arm around her shoulders, and Maya was curled into his side, feeling more at peace than she had in years. "I never thought this would be my life," Maya said quietly. 6 months ago, I was barely making rent, working doubles at a diner, worried constantly about Lily's future. And now, she gestured around at the beautiful house, at the life they'd built. "Now I'm here. With you, with all of this. Do you miss it? Your old life?" "Sometimes I miss the simplicity," Maya admitted. "But I don't miss the fear or the struggling or the loneliness. This," she turned to face him, "this is better. Complicated and sometimes scary, but better." "It won't always be scary," Dante promised. "I'm working toward full legitimacy. Another year, maybe 2, and the Moretti family businesses will be completely clean. No more ties to organized crime. No more threats from rival families. Just regular wealthy people problems." Maya laughed. "Like what to do with too much money?" "Exactly." Dante's expression grew serious. "I want that for us, Maya. For our family. I want Marco and Lily to grow up without fear, without the shadow of my past hanging over them. I want you to feel safe, not just protected. I already feel safe. When I'm with you, I feel like nothing can hurt us. I'll do everything in my power to make sure that's true." Dante kissed her softly. "You and the children are my world now. Everything I do, every decision I make, it's all for you." "That's a lot of pressure," Maya teased gently. "You can handle it. You're the strongest person I know." Dante's voice was full of admiration. "You walked into my world without flinching, adapted to everything I threw at you, and somehow made me believe in love again." "That's not pressure, that's a miracle." Maya's throat was tight with emotion. "I don't know about miracles. I just know that I saw a lonely boy in a playground and wanted to help. Everything else just happened. The best things always just happen." Dante stood and held out his hand. "Come on, I want to show you something." Maya let him lead her upstairs to a room she'd never been in before, his home office. He unlocked the door and turned on the light, revealing a space that was both elegant and functional. But it was the wall of photographs that caught Maya's attention. Pictures of Marco at various ages, from birth to present. Pictures of Maria, beautiful, dark-haired, smiling. Pictures of Dante's family, his history, his life before Maya. And in the corner, recent additions, photos of Lily and Maya, candid shots from the past few months. Lily teaching Marco something with her hands. Maya laughing at something Dante said. All four of them together at the park. I want you to know that loving you doesn't mean forgetting Maria, Dante said quietly. She was my first love, Marco's mother. She'll always be part of our story. I know, Maya said, touching one of the photos of Maria gently. And I would never want you to forget her. She gave you Marco, made you who you are. I'm grateful to her. She would have liked you, Dante said. She always said I needed someone who wouldn't put up with my controlling tendencies. Someone who'd challenge me, make me better. I definitely challenge you. Every day, Dante pulled her close. And I love it. I love you. I love the family we're building. I love that our children are learning to communicate because you brought sign language into our lives. I love that you see past what I am to who I want to be. I see both, Maya corrected gently. I see the dangerous man and the loving father, the mafia boss and the partner who makes me coffee in the morning. All of it is you, Dante, and I love all of it. They stood there for a long moment, holding each other, surrounded by photographs of their blended past and hints of their shared future. Outside, Chicago glittered with lights, the city that had brought them together and tested them and ultimately given them this love, family, hope. Marry me, Dante said suddenly. Maya pulled back to look at his face. What? Marry me? Dante's expression was intense, vulnerable, hopeful. I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. But I'm sure about you, Maya. I'm sure about us. I want to make this official. I want the world to know you're mine and I'm yours. Dante, you don't have to answer now. I don't even have a ring yet. Dante's words tumbled out in an uncharacteristic rush. I just need you to know that this isn't temporary for me. That I'm all in. That I want forever with you. Maya's heart felt too big for her chest. 6 months ago, she'd been a struggling single mother with no prospects and a mountain of debt. Now she was standing in a mansion with a man who loved her, who wanted to marry her, who'd given her and her daughter a family. Yes, she said. Dante blinked. Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. Maybe we're crazy. Maybe it's too fast. But I'm sure about you too, Dante. I'm sure about us. So yes. Dante's face transformed with joy, and he swept Maya into his arms, spinning her around like they were in a movie. When he set her down, he kissed her with a passion that made her knees weak. I'll get you a ring tomorrow, he promised between kisses. The biggest diamond in Chicago. I don't need the biggest diamond. I just need you. You're getting both. Dante grinned. I'm Italian. We don't do anything small. Maya laughed, and the sound echoed through the office, through the house, through the life they were building together. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm, but inside, wrapped in Dante's arms, Maya had found her home. Epilogue. 1 year later. The wedding was small, intimate, just family and close friends in Isabella's garden on a perfect June afternoon. Lily was the flower girl, signing instructions to the other children with adorable authority. Marco was the ring bearer, his face serious with the responsibility, until he caught Lily's eye, and they both dissolved into giggles. Maya wore a simple white dress that Isabella had helped her choose, and Dante wore a suit that made him look like he'd stepped out of a magazine. When they exchanged vows, speaking them aloud and signing them simultaneously so everyone could understand there wasn't a dry eye in the garden. I promise to love you, Dante signed and spoke, his eyes locked on Maya's. To protect you, to challenge you, to be the partner you deserve, and the father our children need, for as long as we both live. I promise to love you, Maya signed and spoke, her voice thick with emotion. To see you, all of you, the darkness and the light. To build a life with you that's big enough for all our dreams, for as long as we both live. When the officiant pronounced them married, Dante kissed Maya with a passion that made Isabella call out, "Save some for later," and the children cover their eyes in dramatic disgust. The reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and the joy of two families becoming one. Lily and Marco performed a sign language duet to a popular song, Bringing Down the House. Isabella cried happy tears and told everyone who would listen about how she'd known from the start that Maya was perfect for her son. As the sun set and the party continued, Dante pulled Maya away to a quiet corner of the garden. "Happy?" he asked. "Incredibly." Maya leaned into him, feeling the solid warmth of his body against hers. "You? More than I ever thought I'd be again." Dante tilted her face up for a gentle kiss. "Thank you for taking a chance on me. On us. Thank you for seeing me that day in the playground. For trusting me with Marco. For loving me even though I came with complications. Your complications are nothing compared to mine," Dante said with a laugh. "That's true. I don't have any Mafia connections. Technically, you do now. You married into them." Dante's eyes sparkled with humor. "Mrs. Moretti has a nice ring to it." "It does," Maya agreed. "Though I'm keeping Torres professionally. Maya Torres Moretti is a mouthful. I don't care what you call yourself, as long as you're mine." "Always," Maya promised. They stood there watching their children play, watching their families mingle, watching the beginning of their forever unfold in Isabella's garden. The past year had been a journey from that first meeting in the playground to this moment of perfect happiness. There had been challenges, fears, moments of doubt, but there had also been love, laughter, and the slow building of something strong enough to weather any storm. "Mama, Papa," Lily's voice called out. She'd started calling Dante Papa 6 months ago, and it never failed to make him emotional. "Come dance with us." Marco was beside her, signing the same request with exaggerated gestures that made them both laugh. "Duty calls," Dante said, taking Maya's hand. "Our children are very demanding." Maya agreed, letting him lead her back to the party. "They get it from their mother." "Excuse me?" Dante just laughed and spun her into the circle of dancing guests. Lily and Marco immediately attached themselves to their parents' legs, creating a chaotic family dance that had no rhythm but infinite joy. Maya looked around at these people, her husband, her daughter, her stepson, her mother-in-law, the security team that had become friends, the family that had embraced her completely, and felt a wave of gratitude so strong it nearly knocked her over. She'd walked into Dante's world expecting nothing but a chance to help a lonely child. She'd found everything: love, family, purpose, home. "I love you," she signed to Dante over the children's heads. "I love you more," he signed back, his dark eyes warm with happiness. "Impossible," Maya signed, grinning. "Watch me," Dante signed. And then he was kissing her again, while their children made exaggerated gagging sounds and the party erupted in applause. It wasn't a perfect life. There were still complications. Dante's business, the security concerns, the adjustment of blending two families. But it was their life, built on trust and communication and love, that had started with two lonely children finding each other in a playground. And that, Maya thought as she danced with her husband while their children laughed around them, was more than enough. It was everything. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.